हेलो स्टूडेंट्स आज इस वीडियो में हम साइंस का सेकंड चैप्टर इज़ मैटर अराउंड अस प्योर इसका सिलेबस और कंटेंट्स जो हैं इस चैप्टर में वो जानेंगे। तो बिना टाइम वेस्ट किए आइए देखते हैं कि क्या क्या कंटेंट्स हैं इस चैप्टर में। ओके, आप वैसे वीडियो पॉज करके नोट भी कर सकते हैं, ठीक है। और किसी ने अगर ये वीडियो लाइक और सब्सक्राइब नहीं किया है तो प्लीज़ आई रिक्वेस्ट यू टू लाइक एंड सब्सक्राइब, ताकि मुझे एक नई डायरेक्शन मिल सके और मुझे कम से कम ये पता लग सके कि आई एम डूइंग समथिंग। सो प्लीज़ डू इट एंड लेट्स बिगिन, राइट। ओके, तो देखते हैं फर्स्ट पॉइंट क्या है। द फर्स्ट पॉइंट इज़ प्योर सब्सटेंसेस। इन दिस चैप्टर we will get to know that what are pure substances, right? And in this now further are mixtures. Now mixtures, impure substances, this mixture is of the impure substances, right? Next is the division of matter. Now how the matter is categorized, or divisions are there in the matter. So first thing is elements. What are elements we should know, what are compounds we should know, and what are mixtures we should know, along with the examples, right? And under this category there are further two things. Now what are those? Homogeneous mixtures and heterogeneous mixtures. We should know what is homogeneous and what is heterogeneous. Now metals, the definition of the metals, which elements we can name as metals. Okay, now further we should know the properties of metals. Now there are many properties, so let's discuss these. So first one is malleable. The metals are malleable. The metals are ductile. The metals are good conductors of heat and electricity. Metals are lustrous. Metals are generally hard. They usually are strong. Okay, they have enough strength and tensile. Now metals are solids. Usually metals are solids at room temperature. Okay, this is the condition. Okay, next is have generally high melting point. Metals have generally high melting point, and metals have generally high boiling point. Now further comes high densities. Metals contain high densities. Okay, now next is sonorous. Metals are sonorous. Okay, now metals usually have a silver or a gray color. Now this is a property that very less teachers or students consider, but this is very usual. In the further classes we need to mention the reaction and we need to mention the observation practically, right? So there comes a question that what is the color of the metal, or what is the color of the element, or the color is given and you need to recognize it that this is a metal or a non-metal. So such type of questions do come, so we should be aware of it. Okay, next comes non-metals. Now here comes the definitions of non-metals. We should also know this. Now like the metals, then the properties we discussed. There are 11 properties here of the metals, so we're gonna discuss properties of non-metals also. So non-metals are brittle. Fine, non-metals are brittle. Non-metals are non-malleable. Like here you have mentioned malleable. Metals are malleable. Non-metals are non-malleable. Okay, they are non-ductile. Like here you mentioned they are ductile. Metals were ductile, right? Metals are ductile and non-metals are non-ductile. Then metals are good conductors of heat and electricity here. Okay, and here the non-metals are bad conductors of heat and electricity. Fine. Okay, after this comes not lustrous and dull in appearance. The non-metals are not lustrous as metals are lustrous, and non-metals are dull in the appearance, right? Next are non-metals are generally hard. Non-metals are not strong and have low tensile strength. Okay, now non-metals may be solids, liquids, or gases at room temperature. So there are variations, right? Exceptions. So non-metals have comparatively low melting point and boiling points. Like metals have high melting point and high boiling point, non-metals have comparatively, in comparison to metals, low melting point and low boiling points, right? So they have low densities, they are non-sonorous, and non-metals are of many colors. Okay, fine. Now there are 12 points of the 12 points and properties of non-metals, so just memorize them and practice them enough. So next comes comparison between the properties of metals and non-metals. As we have discussed, previously here and the previous ones. So that is the comparison of the properties. You should know it. Okay, now next comes the third category. Now we have read the metals, we have read non-metals, now comes metalloids. Now we should know the definition of the metalloids, and we should know the properties of metalloids. Okay, they are very less in comparison to the metals and non-metals. Okay, now as per your syllabus, actually metals, now there is no limit, there is no limit to define or compare something, but we have to stay within our syllabus, so just don't go beyond it. Okay, okay. Now differences between mixtures and compounds, we should also know. Their question comes between the differences, right? Or differentiate between mixtures and compounds, differentiate between metals and non-metals, or differentiate between metalloids and non-metals, like that the questions comes. Okay, now we should also know the condition to find out a substance, either the substance is a mixture or a compound, so we should know the condition. And then comes solute. Now definition of solute, to which substance or thing we should we can call solute. Okay, then comes solvent. Now definition of it. Next comes solution, definition of it. We need to define these three along with the examples, right? Now next, under the solution category, now solution is of many types, right? One is aqueous solution, non-aqueous solution, and then comes solute particles. Now solute particles, okay, it's they are the dispersed particles. And then comes solvent, it is dispersion medium, right? It's a medium. Okay, now comes true solution and properties of a solution we have to do. Then types of solution are solid solution, liquid solution, gas solution. But now solution means solid, solid with liquid and solid with gas, then liquid with liquid and liquid with gas, then gas with gas. Okay, so now there comes suspensions. So we should know the definitions of the suspensions. Then we should know the properties of the suspension, right? I think it is visible now, the properties of the suspensions. Okay, then next comes colloids. Now we should know the definition of colloids, the properties of colloids. Then comes the Tyndall effect. Okay, we should also know what is Tyndall effect and how it it affects. Okay, now then next comes the point, distinguish between colloid, right? Distinguish between colloid from a solution. Now how both of these points differ. Solution differs from colloid. Okay, now classification of colloids. Here there's a mistake in the spellings. From it's okay. Okay, the classification of colloids. Okay, how the colloids are classified. Now the next point is concentrated solution, diluted solution, unsaturated solution, saturated solution, effects of heating and cooling on a saturated solution. What are the effects of heating and what are the effects of cooling on a saturated solution? Next is preparation of saturated solution, right? Okay, next is solubility. What is solubility? We have to define it. And the effects of temperature on solubility and the effects of pressure on solubility. Then comes the physical changes, chemical changes. We should know these, the main differences between physical changes and chemical changes. Then comes separation of mixtures, right? How the mixtures are separated. Okay, let's see what is next. Now types of cases. What are these cases? You see, the mixtures of two solids. Can two solids be mixed? Of course, these two solids can be mixed, but depends on what the product is and what time it takes to form a new compound or something like that. So but this is the discussion, we'll discuss that thing in the detail. So it's a mixture of two solids, mixture of a solid and a liquid, we usually do it. Mixture of two liquids, we also do it in the house. Okay, now separation of a mixture of two solids. Now separation. Now here till here we have read the mixing sort of. So mixing two solids, mixing a solid with a liquid, and mixing of two liquids. But here the reverse form of that chemical reactions we'll be studying. So that is the separation of the mixture of two solids. Now they are the techniques used to separate a mixture, right? Okay, now first one is by using a suitable solvent. The next one is by the process of sublimation, by using a magnet, right? And next is separation of a mixture of a solid and a liquid. Separation, I mean to separate the mixture of a solid and a liquid. Okay, now here the technique: by filtration, by centrifugation, by evaporation, by crystallization, by chromatography, and by distillation, right? Here are the 6 methods by which we gonna separate the mixture of a solid and a liquid. Okay, next comes separation of a mixture of 2 or more liquids. Now here was a solid and liquid, earlier was solid and solid, and next comes a mixture of 2 or more liquids. Now liquid with a liquid, the mixture formed by liquid with a liquid, and we're going to separate that mixture. So what are the techniques? Now by the process of fractional distillation. Okay, this is a very important one. By using a separating funnel. Now this is a very common one. Now applications of fractional distillation. Now applications of a fractional distillation: separation of the gases of the air. Now here the separation of the gases of air. Okay, now here the the syllabus gonna end up. So I hope you have all got the syllabus. You can pause the video and note it down, or take the printouts or something like that, or take the images also. So we'll be discussing all these points in the next coming videos. Okay, thank you.